Hey guys, welcome to the channel. So you're going to see today us doing a little bit of a transformation of the walking of a border collie named Charlie. You can see him here. So this is a clip of him pulling on the lead, just basically dragging us along. He wasn't really a great deal of fun to walk. His owner's recently had a baby, so she's asked us to come in and help because she wants to make sure that she can walk him on the lead and take the baby out and make sure that everyone's kept safe. In the video, you're going to see us go through the process in pretty much real time. The goal of this channel is always to give real, honest dog training videos and tips. And the idea here is that we'll only cut out the bits that we've already explained and we just do repetitions of. So there's maybe 10 minutes missing out of this video from the session itself where we were just going through some of the motions that we already explained. Now, I understand he's a border collie and he's very intelligent and he does pick this up remarkably quick. But if you wait till the end of the video, I will explain how to make this work for dogs that aren't quite as quick and quite as easy to train as border collies are.
So we've got Charlie. We're going to do some work today on his walking. You'll have seen in the video there that he's a bit of a puller. He's not really engaging with his handler. So we're going to try and do some work on that today for his owner. So he's on a harness at the minute, and as you could see, he's quite happy to pull on that. He'll take you for a bit of a walk with it, and we're not going to try and train him out of that. But what we're going to do instead is we're going to try and get him comfortable using a slip lead. So I've got a nice thin slip lead here because he's quite a slender dog. I'm going to get a food, I'm going to try and guide him through the slip lead, and I'm just going to fit it on him. Hey buddy. Hey bud. Now it's the first time he's had it on him, so I'm just being a bit mindful. I don't want him to freak out. Good. Yeah, good. So what I'm going to teach him today is that when you feel tension on this lead, don't fight against it, come towards it, okay? And if he does come towards it, I'm going to push the pressure towards him. If he fights against that lead, I'm not going to give in to it and go with him, but I'm not going to yank him either. I'm just going to move him towards me. And if he does come towards me, there'll be food, there'll be praise, there'll be rain, there'll be lots of good things happening in this direction. So I'm going to move away from him in whatever direction and put this pressure on. Pressure, yes. And if he comes towards me, I'm just going to mark that with a yes, and I'm going to push the lead towards him. That's really important. I want him to feel a relief of that pressure for coming towards me. Good. If we see him shaking off, that's a really good signal. After a dog's shaken off, their heart rate comes down. It's a way of sort of shaking off that excess stress. So if we see him shaking off, that's a good thing. And what we should start to see is he starts to engage with me more than he was before. And all I'm doing is I'm moving away from him. And as long as he stays off the end of that lead, good boy, nice things will happen, good. And he won't feel that restraint and that tension, which is causing him to make poor decisions sometimes and be a little bit reactive and stress his owner out and pull her down the street. So pressure on, good boy, good. I'm just going to do this for a couple of minutes. So I'm going to start teaching Charlie a game. He's really, really clever. He's picking this up insanely quickly. I'm going to start teaching him a bit of a game, which he's already a little bit too good at. I'm going to try and catch him out and give him a little bit of a flick on this lead by trying to turn left away from him. The big mistakes people make when they're doing this, come here, Paul, is they'll walk in a big circle and bring the dog round with them, which is really difficult for the dog to follow because we're going in circles. We want to try and keep things in straight lines. And I'm going to move away and give him a bit of a tug. And if I can move away from him, I'm falling over my left shoulder. I want to give him that little bit of a flick to tell him, hey, I'm going this way, pal. I'm trying not to use too many verbals or too many treats to begin with, because then I can bring those in later if he's responding well. And if you notice, I'm always turning left to begin with, because what I'm teaching at the minute is how to work with the lead. This is the first time I've met him. It's the first time we've done any of this kind of training with him. And he's obviously very clever, so he's picking it up quite quickly. So I'm going to go over my left shoulder, and I'm going to turn away and bring him with me. What I'm not doing is walking in a big circle. I'm not lifting my arms up. I'm just turning away, okay? You play this game with your dog. We turn it into a game of TIG. So when I say TIG, I mean if I can turn away and I can give him a TIG, I win a point. If I turn away and he comes with me, he wins a point, good boy. And he gets a bit of praise, he maybe gets a treat, he gets a stroke, or all three, depending on how I'm feeling, how difficult it was for him. He's finding this easy, so I'm not using treats just yet. So we're just going to play this game, and until he's beating me every time, which won't take long, good. One for me. And until I'm dizzy and until I can't catch him out, I'm just going to keep playing this part of the game. Good boy, good lad. Our overall goal with Charlie is that he walks on a nicer lead, he walks next to us, he isn't pulling us, so his owner can walk in without fear that he's going to knock her over or he's going to cause issues. So if I want him to walk on a nice loose lead, it's difficult for me to have him walking out in front of me because he can't see so from here he can't see where I am, he doesn't know how fast I'm going, and there's not a great deal of room, he's as long as the lead, there's not a great deal of room for him to be ahead of me and not be pulling. So if he's next to me, however, there's loads of room for him not to be pulling. It's easier for him to look at me. It's easier for him to see where I am and just respond to me a little bit better. So I'm going to start doing the food element of this training with him. I'm going to take a piece of food. We already know he likes these, don't you, pal? Yeah. If I want him to come next to me, to begin with, I'm going to lure him into that position and start paying him there, because that's the heel position that I'd like him to be in. So I've got a pocket full of food, and if I find him in that position, I'm going to reward him. What I don't want to do is reward him out of that position. So the big mistake people make, they'll have a piece of food, they want the dog to walk here, and they'll pay the dog like this. I'm going to fall over my dog. Or they'll pay the dog when they're finished for doing a sit, but again, he's in front of me, and what I want him to do is continue walking next to me and enjoy it. So I'm just breaking this food up. I'm going to bring him next to me, and then I'm going to let him have the food in that position, and I'm going to play this game with him. And if I find him in that position, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the food in my right hand and the lead in my left. I'm just going to give him the food in the place that I'd like him to walk. If I don't pay him in other places for a little while, he'll start to want to be next to me a little bit more often. Good. So can you see how he comes in front of me and sits? I haven't told him to, but he knows I've got food, and that's how he's going to get it off me. I want him to think that there's no way of getting it in front of me, it's all going to be next to me. And even if that's just, I walk past him and start getting that food in at the side of me, all the history that he'll have of being with me will be for being alongside me, and he should stop crab walking underneath me so much, because it's great that we've got his engagement really quickly. You've seen the difference in the two videos already. This has happened really, really fast, and it's great when this happens. Now that I've got his engagement, I don't want his engagement to be uncomfortable for him because he's got a crab walk underneath me and try not to get stood on and walk backwards and he can't see where he's going. I'm going to try and teach him that if you come next to me and walk, yes, that's when you get the food. Yeah, good boy. So hopefully that makes sense. Once you've got the dog's engagement, we want to reward it, but I don't want to reward it here. Yeah, get off.
Hey guys, just jumping in. If you do find this video useful and it helps you, then please help us help more people by sharing it with a friend that you think could really benefit.
So now that I've taught Charlie to walk alongside me and he's able to get that position quite nicely and he's moving on really quickly, I'm going to move on to the next piece of the puzzle. This is something that you might have seen online, you might have already kind of attempted, and either you didn't like doing it or it didn't work, and people tend to find this one more difficult because it's a bit awkward. We're going to teach a right turn. Now I'm teaching all of this with Charlie on my right hand side because that's just the way that he seems to prefer. We're doing everything on the right. If you want to do it on the left, and if you're going into any competitions, you'll be doing it on the left, but we're going to do it on the right because why not? I'm going to try and do a right turn, which is much more difficult than a left turn, because if I do a left turn, I just have to walk this way and no one's in my way. I've got all this space to move into. If I want to do a right turn, all of a sudden I've got a dog in my way. Excuse me. I've got a dog in my way, I'm going to stand on his feet, I'm going to kick him, I'm going to fall over him, I might actually fall over, I've seen that happen plenty of times. So what I'm going to do, I've got this lead, I'm going to make it slightly shorter if I'm doing a right turn, and I'm going to guide him out of my way, and I'm going to quite sharply turn into the direction that I want to start walking, and I'm going to try and get my head up while I do it. I don't want to be looking at him while I do it, because then I'll fall over him. If I look down at him, my hips, my chest will come over, and then I'll start getting stuck underneath my own feet. So when I'm doing that right turn, I just want to shorten that lead. I'm going to step across him with my right leg. Obviously you can flip all this upside down if you're left-handed or left-footed, or if you just want to teach it on the other side, just flip the word right for left and do it all again. But but I want to walk across him without pulling him if I don't have to. But if I need to just guide him out of my way, I can do, yeah? So hopefully that makes sense. I'm not looking at him so much as I'm looking where I'm going, and he knows I might walk in front of him, so he'll let me through. And this means that now we can move around. I can do left turn, I can do right turn, and he'll walk at the place that makes the most sense for him to avoid getting pulled on the lead or getting nudged, but also the place where he's most likely to get a bit of food. So it's only really 3 or 4 pieces of the puzzle that we've taught him that get him moving in the position that we want him to. It's not the finished article. If we take him for a walk and there's a lot of distraction, it doesn't mean he's just going to suddenly walk to heel in a straight line for miles on end. But it's proof that he can. It's proof that he can put himself in this position. He can stay in that position, he can engage with me, he can listen to lead pressure, he can do all of the pieces of the puzzle, which is going to make it way easier when his owner then comes to start putting lots of work in on this. We're going to teach her all of the pieces of the puzzle as well. When she starts doing that work, he's already capable of getting the pieces of the puzzle right. She then just needs to put in the effort and the consistency so that he does this as a default and that she can walk. Because if she decided she wanted to take him for a walk and it looked like this, I'm sure she'd be really happy with that. Does it mean that this is going to be how he walks all the time straight away? Absolutely not. That'd be a bit extreme to expect of him, but he can do it. And it's him not doing it in a way where I need to have a treat to lure him down the street, because this, to me, isn't a heel. If I've got food in my hand, I can keep him in that heel position, but that's cheating. That isn't him doing the behaviour, that's just him following some food. I could do that backwards. It doesn't count. This doesn't mean that this is how he suddenly walks. He's just following food. But if he's doing it without the food, hi bud, good boy. If he's walking like that without the food and I say, oh good boy, and give him some food, I'm rewarding that behaviour instead of bribing and luring that behaviour. Which means that it might stick further on because he did it first and I rewarded it, instead of I bribed him and then he did it.
So there you go, guys. That is a real session with a real dog, just a quick turnaround to get him showing us the behaviour that we then hope to get tons of from him in the future. Now, I understand he's a border collie, he's very intelligent. He's quite a nervous dog, so he did really well there, but he's intelligent, so he picks things up quick. If you have a dog that isn't as intelligent as a border collie, which is pretty much all of them, you may find that you want to put an extra bit of time into each step of this video. And ideally, do them 3 or 4 times in 3 or 4 different sessions before you move on to the next piece. Break it down, make it feel really boring because the dog's just cracked that piece and it doesn't need to think about it before you move on.